Well, good morning, church. For devotions this morning, we're going to be carrying on the Genesis story starting at chapter 35. So we've been looking at Jacob, son of Isaac, son of Abraham, and all the mess of his life that Pastor David went through last week. And now he's back in the promised land with his big family. He's resolved the issues with Esau. And here's what God says. God said to Jacob, "Arise and go up to Bethel and dwell there. Make an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau." So Bethel, and that it's referring to there, that's that when he had the dream, the Stairway to Heaven dream. That's what that's referring back to, chapter 28. And at that time, back in chapter 28, God confirmed the covenant that he had given to Abraham and Isaac with Jacob. But at that time, Jacob he was on the run. He was fleeing from his brother. He had no family. So we didn't know what would happen or how it would come about. Now we're here, and Jacob, we've seen how God has worked, and Jacob has a large family. He's wealthy. He's resolved the issues with his brother. And so God calls him back to that place where he originally gave him that covenant. Then it says, "So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, 'Put away the foreign gods who are among you, and purify yourselves, and change your garments. Then let us arise and go up to Bethel, so that I may make an altar to the God who answers me in the day of my distress, and has been with me wherever I have gone.' So they gave to Jacob all their foreign gods that they had, and all the rings that were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the terebinth tree there in Shechem." I just thought it was interesting that here Jacob, with all the times he's wrestled with God already, he's the Stairway to Heaven dream, everything that God has done, protecting him against Esau, and yet the family still had idols. And it took God calling him and him going, "Oh," to get rid of the idols. And I just thought for us, sometimes there's a connection between worshiping God and the idols in our lives. Idols are just anything what is it that takes our focus? What is it that is kind of a factor in our decisions? What is it that our heart desires? What are the things that we're making most important in our life? Maybe that's a good way to say it. And so whatever those things are, when we worship God, it kind of starts to expose those things when we focus on him. And so for us, maybe we can look at, how do we spend our money? What is it that we're saving for? What is it that we're focusing on with our money? What about our time? Does that reveal any idols? Or what is it that we're desiring? What is it that takes all our focus? What is it that takes all our energy in driving? Sometimes that can expose what our idols are. And when we instead turn and focus on God in worship, it shifts our focuses to him from our idols. So God protects Jacob and his family on their journey. And then verse 9, they arrive at Bethel. And it says, "God appeared to Jacob again, and when he came to Padan Aram, and blessed him. And God said to him, 'Your name is Jacob. No longer shall your name be called Jacob, but Israel shall be your name.' So he called his name Israel. And God said to him, 'I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall come from you. Kings shall come from your body. The land I gave to Abraham and Isaac I will give to you, and I will give the land to your offspring after you.' Then God went up from him in the place where he had spoken with him. And Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he had spoken with him, a pillar of stone. And he poured out a drink offering on it and poured oil on it. So Jacob called the name of the place where God had spoken with him, Bethel." So here God's called him to Bethel, and then God reaffirms that covenant, the same covenant he gave to Abraham and then affirmed again to Isaac, and the same one he's already affirmed to Jacob. But now Jacob has a family, and he's back in the promised land. And so God reminds him to be fruitful and multiply, to become that nation that will be number the sand on the seashore, the stars in the sky, right? That kings will come from him. And again, that covenant was that the nation of Israel would be a blessing to all nations, that they would be a light to all nations. The chapter ends with the story of Rachel giving birth to the last son of Jacob, Benjamin, but unfortunately dying in childbirth. And so Rachel passes away, and then the chapter ends with Isaac and Rebekah passing away at an old age. And that's how the chapter ends. So, application for us. We too are part of the covenant. The New Testament teaches how we are children of the covenant, grafted in, and we have that same mission. We're to be, it says in Peter and Revelation, a kingdom of priests. We're to be that example to the world, that blessing to the world. We know that the fulfillment of this covenant, this Old Testament covenant, who would be these kings that would come from Jacob's line? It would be Jesus, the King of Kings. And he would graft in the whole world. Everyone who would put faith in him would be grafted in as children of the covenant. And we now have a mission to go out and be that light, and be that kingdom of priests to the whole world. So let us get rid of our idols. Let us worship God, and let's live out this promise, this covenant as the people of God. So, with that, may God bless you. I think of that. I think of the verse in the New Testament that says God has blessed us with every spiritual blessing, everything we need to live a life for him. So may God bless you and keep you, and make his face to shine upon you, and today give you his peace. God bless.